Welcome back to the Pink Pill Parent. Now today we are diving into the facts about vaping. If you've heard everything from vaping causes popcorn lung to it's as bad as smoking, well don't worry, we're going to cut through the myths and get straight to the truth. So let's start with a big one. Vaping is often marketed as a safer alternative to smoking. And for adults who are trying to quit, well, it really is. But, and this is a big but, that doesn't mean vaping is risk-free. It's still something to be cautious about, especially if you've got, a teenager in your life. Now, let's clear up some of those myths. So first up, you've probably heard the claim that vaping is more harmful than smoking. But what's the truth? Well, it's not the case. Vaping exposes users to far fewer harmful chemicals than smoking cigarettes. Now, according to reputable sources like the NHS, cigarette smoke, it does contain thousands of chemicals, many of which can cause serious health problems like cancer and heart disease. But vaping isn't harmless, but it is significantly less dangerous than smoking. Now, for myth number 2, vaping is more addictive than smoking. Well, actually, there's no good evidence to support it. Cigarettes, they are specifically designed to maximize addiction potential. Vaping, it doesn't have the same chemical complexity as cigarettes, but it still contains nicotine, which is addictive. So, while it's not more addictive, it's still something to be mindful of, especially for the teens in our lives. So here's another one I hear all of the time. Disposable vapes deliver as much nicotine as 50 cigarettes. No, that is not true. The nicotine content in vapes is much lower than this exaggerated claim. I mean, yes, some high-strength vapes, they can deliver more nicotine than others, but this 50 cigarette myth is, well, it's just that, it's a myth. Now, let's talk about the idea that vaping is a gateway to smoking. According to Ash, and I am going to put the link in the description, there is no strong evidence that vaping leads to smoking. Not at a population level. In fact, as vaping has increased, smoking rates have continued to decline. So while it's important to monitor young people's behaviours, the claim that vaping will lead them straight to smoking, well, it just doesn't hold up. One of the biggest myths out there is that vaping causes popcorn lung. This one just will not go away. The truth is, popcorn lung, it is a real condition, but it's caused by a chemical called diacetyl. And guess what? It was banned in UK regulated e-liquids back in 2016. So as long as you're buying vapes from reputable sources and not got a stash hidden away, there's no risk of developing popcorn lung. Well, in terms of the evidence anyway. So moving on, let's address the idea that vaping is as harmful as smoking during pregnancy. Now, while pregnant women should ideally avoid all nicotine products, the NHS points out that if someone can't quit nicotine entirely, well, vaping is considered less harmful than smoking. Still, the goal should always be to quit, but vaping is a safer alternative for those who struggle. Now, you might have heard the myth that vaping damages brain development in young people. But here's the truth. Most of this comes from animal studies, which have limited relevance to humans. So while nicotine is addictive and not ideal for young people, the evidence that it significantly impacts brain development, it's limited. So here's one you might not expect. Kids vape because they like the flavours. It's not quite true. Research suggests that the top reasons young people try vaping, well, it's curiosity and peer pressure. Flavours can be appealing, sure, but they're not the main motivator. So now, while vaping is regulated in the UK, it's important to note that not all vapes are created equal. There are black market vapes out there that don't meet these safety standards, and some of these unregulated products could contain harmful chemicals. There have even been cases where dangerous substances like synthetic cannabinoids known as spice have been found in tampered vapes, so it's always important to buy from reputable UK regulated sources. Finally, let's talk about what we don't know. So vaping is still relatively new, and while it's safer than smoking, we don't yet know the long-term effects. Some of the chemicals used in e-liquids haven't been studied over long periods. So while it's better than smoking, it's not risk-free, especially for teens who aren't smokers in the first place. So, what's the bottom line? Vaping is much less harmful than smoking, but it's still something we need to approach carefully, especially with young people. Understanding the facts helps us guide our kids in making informed decisions. Thanks so much for watching, guys. If you found this video helpful, please give it a like, subscribe and hit the bell icon so you don't miss out on any future videos. Next week we are talking about how we actually have that conversation with our kids. Those reputable sources I mentioned, they're in the description so you can take a deeper look if you want to.